Welcome into the Fourth Floor, an extension of Five on the Floor and the Five Reasons Sports YouTube channel. We're here before the Heat play the Wizards, 10-5 Heat after a win last night against New Orleans. It's pouring outside. We've got Brady and Alex going to the game, so we're giving Brady the night off tonight. So we'll handle the inactives and the actives as we go. Here's who we've got. We've got Ricky J. Mark. We've got Jonathan Ramlichan, who's doing double duty tonight as a producer, and we've got Greg Sylvander, because actually Alejandra's at the game as well, and we've got Greg Sylvander back home. Our new guy Timmy's going to join us here at some point. I think he's the host of the Bahama Rican Boys show, which actually debuted last week. They had another episode this morning, and he's going to pop in. He was actually at the Heat game with us a couple of weeks ago. We are sponsored, as always, by our friends over at Biscayne Bay Brewing. Make sure you ask for it by name, whether you're at Publix, Whole Foods, or anywhere else. Again, you can see it there, the Tropical Bay IPA, the Marlins Lager, Pastime Pilsner, and all their other great beers. One of the top beers at Whole Foods actually is their Tropical Bay IPA. This is sold all throughout the state of Florida. This is the official brewery of the Five Reasons Sports Network, also of the Miami Marlins, and also you can find them in a kiosk at FTX Arena. They're at the 100 level and they're at the 300 level. So make sure that you find it. They're at the arena. That line is always busy, so get there as soon as you can. Again, Biscayne Bay Brewing, and our friend Mark Brown, the other sponsor this particular program, markbrownpa.com. Actually met with him today about something. He can handle a lot of stuff for you. If you're doing estate planning, this is where you want to go, but he's also got everything else in-house if you need an attorney. And if you're closing on a property, Mark is the guy to go to handle your closing. They do an excellent job in that office. It's a small office, personalized service right there north of Cypress Creek Road off of Andrews. If you're familiar with that area at all, it's close to the Hooters, and I forget what else they've got there, but they've it's right across the big shopping center there in the Wells Fargo building. 954-566-5678, 954-566-5678. And actually, before we got to business today, Mark and I were talking about the Heat for 15 minutes. So you're looking for South Florida sports fans to do your business, Mark's a good guy to reach out to. Again, it's markbrownpa.com. All right, let's get to it. I'll handle this tonight, I guess, because Brady is not present, or he is present, but he's in the arena. By the way, the Heat are 2-0 when Brady covers, so people can feel better about that. Here's the deal tonight. Kyle Lowry and Bam Adebayo are back. As Jimmy Butler said, get to work. They're back. We've also said, though, and I think Adam Barai from Clutch Corner tweeted this last night, and I agree with him, we're not going to see a whole lot of nights with the top four playing, I think. I think unless I think it's going to be less often that it happens than more often. And tonight it's Tyler Hero, who seemed fine to me last night. He's going to sit with a wrist injury. Markieff Morris, supposedly it's a bruise. Markieff Morris, by the way, is missing his sixth straight game. Nikola Jokic missed one. Before we get to tonight's game, I have Denver Nuggets fans torching me in my mentions. Part of this is because HP Basketball, Matt Moore, who I've worked with before, is based out in Denver, and he kind of sicked the dogs on me because I tweeted very simply, Markieff Morris is missing a sixth game. Nikola Jokic has missed one. See you on November 29th. I'm not saying that the media is going to start fighting. What I'm saying is that you look at the situation, it doesn't seem completely fair, does it? I mean,
no.
Does anybody believe in the policy that if you injure another player, you should sit out as long as the player you injure?
That's what I said when you guys asked me how long you think he should be out. I said he should be out as long as Morris is, because this is something that's going to have lasting effects. A neck injury, is something that affects your shooting motion. It affects your arm motion. It affects the way when you're looking around using peripheral vision. That's something that's going to take a little while to come back from. So Jokic only getting one game is really disappointing on the league as a whole.
Ricky, you say no. I know Greg I think is saying yes. Ricky, you don't think so?
Yeah, he provoked a fight with a cheap shot and turned his back and got rocked. I mean, I know there's a lot of talking about oh yeah, he did that with his back turned. What was Jokic gonna do? He's like, hey, turn around and face me so we can fight like men in the 30s. No, the Morris twins are cheap shot artists. We might like that because we like rugged play down here in Miami, but that's bound to happen when tension and testosterone run high. I'm not justifying it, saying that, the violence has to happen, but he took a cheap shot. A predictable retaliation came, and it just so happens that he happened to have gotten hurt. It's the consequences of his actions. I don't think Jokic's intention was to mess up the guy's neck, but it just so happened that, he retaliated, and Keith's neck apparently snapped, and now he's hurt for a couple weeks.
See, Ricky's talking about Keith's neck. Can he be that injured? Like, that's the thing that surprises me. Like, when I saw the hit and I saw him fall, like, I just have never seen a player miss this many games without something being clearly defined as wrong. It's just literally like he got hit, he went down, and he hasn't played again. And they're not really giving much information unless you've heard otherwise. Like, so to me, it's just I find it to be, it's not typical that a player would miss this long for this kind of thing unless it was a real serious injury. So it's just it's weird that we haven't heard more, I guess.
Yeah, and I understand Morris's reputation. I get it. I'm not arguing with that. If he wasn't playing for the Heat fans wouldn't be defending him. I understand that. It also, there was a cheap shot from Jokic that was uncalled before the Morris hit. You know, and so you can make an argument that he actually provoked it, although if the officials had called it, maybe they would have stopped it then. And none of this would have happened. So you could look into it that way. To your point, Greg, I mean, they're just listing it as whiplash now. That's the new designation. I never actually seen that on an NBA.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just so not typical. I mean, right? Maybe it's excuse my ignorance or innocence, folks, but I've just not seen that on an injury report before.
No, I haven't. I've seen some crazy things on there, but not that. And again, November 29th is only about 10. I'm guessing Morris is going to be back by then, I would think. But again, we haven't gotten a whole lot of information. They haven't talked about it. Nobody asked at the post game last night. So, you know, and I was there. I guess I could have asked Spoelstra, but it just appears like this is one of those situations we're just not going to see him for a little while. All right, so let's get to tonight's game. The other thing of significance, no Spencer Dinwiddie tonight, and he's been playing very well. He'd come back in pretty good shape from the knee injury, and he's sitting tonight. I guess it's more maintenance for his knee. I think this is significant. He has been an engine for a lot of what they've done this season. I'll start with you, Ricky. What do you? And we talked about the Wizards a little bit. You think they're going to fade back to the pack a little bit, but they did make a good trade. I mean, the Westbrook trade netted them basically 5 contributing players, and Montrezl Harrell has been really good for them after really being a complete non-factor last year for the Lakers. This does strike me as the kind of matchup that would give Miami some problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think we've said this before with regards to teams that have players with inflated stats. Looters do well in a riot. Okay, it's hard to get big numbers when you're playing next to LeBron. That's not an indictment on LeBron. It's just his usage rate is through the roof. And to your point about Russell Westbrook, I mean, I can't think of a team that hasn't done better as a result of trading that huge contract because you're getting a ton of presumed value in return. Teams like this, yeah, they're problematic. You know, it's perfectly understandable. But at the end of the day, you're looking at a team whose best player is Bradley Beal. I mentioned this on Dono a little earlier today. I have no reason to fear a team led by Bradley Beal, injured or available or not. You know the players on this team: Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell. These are arguably the 2 best players on that team outside of Dinwiddie and Beal. And are they known for being an all defensive type of duo? Exploit that to the death.
But I will say this, Ricky, surprisingly, and I'll go to you on this, Jonathan. Washington's defensive numbers are good this year. That has surprised me because Scott. Look, first thing, Scott Brooks' teams tend to be all over the place defensively, but also, although he did have some very good defensive teams with OKC, but you're right. Ricky's right about this. The defensive material on that team doesn't look that good. I mean, Gafford was a good find for them. Their front court, I think, has been better than people anticipated. But yeah, on paper, like that looks like a Washington team like we've seen before, like just not very good defensively. They have been.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, they're first in opponent's field goal percentage.
I was just going to say, yeah.
You know, and they're first in defensive rebounding, so they finish possessions as well. They don't give you a lot of opportunity to get that offensive board. So they've been just doing a good job doing the little things. I think, like you said, they might have a coming back to earth moment because they don't have one single guy or even a collective group of guys that are really phenomenal defensively. I like the work that KCP does, but he's sometimes hit or miss defensively. But outside of that, like you said, Kuzma, hit or miss. Like you said, Gafford is pretty good. I feel like their big rotation is good on around the rim, but I think that's something you can exploit a lot around, especially tonight in a pick and roll with Kyle Lowry and Bam, maybe a pick and pop situation. Shout out to John Crotty. But I feel like I think there will be a coming down to earth moment for this Washington team.
Greg, let's talk about the hero thing now. The Heat have become so reliant on his scoring that I think to a certain degree we take for granted. You're getting 20 from Tyler. Well, they're not getting 20 from Tyler tonight. The starting lineup, we know what the starting lineup's going to be. It's finally intact, right? You got Lowry, you got Bam back, you got Jimmy back. It's the first time we've seen the starting lineup together since when? The first game of the trip, right? Denver, right? Mm-hmm. But in that game, well, I guess you did in the first LA game. The first one back, too. Yeah. But it didn't last very long. But Tyler, he has been the engine off the bench. So how do they make up for that tonight? I'm assuming Gabe is going to get a considerable amount of action, maybe Max. With Strus and Caleb together, and you just kind of maybe you play through Max a little bit.
I mean, we talked on 5 on the Floor last night about them getting 40 from the bench. They're going to need essentially something similar in terms of just a mixture of players stepping up. I don't think one of those guys is going to be able to bring anything offensively that's that robust. You know what I mean? So you need all of those guys to just step up. I feel like with Jimmy out there, you're still going to be okay offensively, but this does place more focus and emphasis on Duncan. And he quietly got to slide by on a 2 of 6 shooting night the other night. When Tyler is out, he's not going to be able to slide by. And unlike the 2 games in LA that they lost, and I think a lot of Heat fans started to feel deflated as they lost 2 West Coast games consecutively. Like, those aren't the ones that really bug me, but you got a home and home with Washington. These are 2 division games. They're at the top of the conference. Make a statement and beat them twice. So, like, Duncan can't go 1 of 7 in both of these games, and the Heat struggle. So, like, this is, I think, with Tyler out, it puts the spotlight on Duncan even more.
All right, don't take a lot of time to think about this. I'll go to Ricky first, okay? We know Jimmy's the most important player on this team. It's become obvious, plus minus everything else. When he plays, it's different. But now, with the elevation of Tyler, if I was to say to you, the guy they can't afford to lose for a week, Bam, Tyler, Kyle, how are you putting? What order are you putting them in?
Tyler, Bam, Kyle.
So Tyler is the one that you think they can't afford to lose for a week. Jonathan?
I'm going to go Bam, Tyler, Kyle, because of our lack of depth in that front court.
Same as Jonathan.
Okay. So you're going with Bam first. It's interesting because we talked about how they looked without Kyle against Indiana, right? But I think what it shows, and this is what I'm getting at here, is that all 4 of their top 4 players to a certain degree are irreplaceable in their own way.
Very true.
Right? And that's why I do think that now that Tyler's elevated to that, that's why I do think that it's going to be challenging. If they're going to stagger things again, we don't know how serious Tyler's injury is. I don't think it's real serious, but basically, like I'm trying to determine here, like, can they get by doing it this way?
Oh, I think so.
For long this season. So. You think they can, playing 3 out of the 4 guys regularly, basically?
Well, I think you might there if the last few games have been any indication, you might have to. What I will say is this: with regards to Tyler, I think you might be able to replicate his production by committee on certain nights. I think you'll be able to trap lightning in a bottle if you are able to get lucky and combine Strus with Martin and maybe some of the other guys. You might be able to add up to that and hope that the team you're playing isn't too, good. But I think that's possible. Same with arguably some of the bigs. I mean, granted, Bam is unique, but I like what I've seen out of Detman the last few games. If there are ways to get him set up to where he can actually be productive, though not to Bam's level.
Greg, you had a good stat from the game notes. What is Detman like in his last 3 starts? Thanks, Lynette. By the way, you're looking for insurance, Aggressive Insurance. That's our friend Lynette commenting there. So reach out to her if you need any help. There you go. Look at that. Jonathan had it ready. 954-581-8800. Reach out to Lynette. Great person. Will do a great job helping you with insurance. And she sponsors Post Up 5R. So a lot of you are familiar with her from there. But you had a good stat on Deadman.
He's like plus 54 or something like that. Yeah, he's been really good. And I just think
his age.
Right.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Never mind.
I just still think we can't underrate Bam, and that's why I'm putting him in the lead slot there. But in this game, without Dinwiddie, like, there's still no excuses. If you have Jimmy, Bam, and Kyle, like, it's go time.
All right,
And
let's go
to add
around
on
the
to
whole.
that, sorry to cut you off. We always talked about in the Big Three era, CB wasn't necessarily the most talented, but he was the most important, right? It was we really just couldn't lose him. So I kind of feel the same way with Bam.
No, I think ultimately you guys are probably right. I think Tyler, honestly, I hate to say it, as great as he's been, I think he's probably fourth. I in terms of who they can't afford to lose. I just think what Kyle provides is too important to this group. And I do think that you can find bench scoring somewhere. It's not easy, but I do think playing through Max a little bit more, there are some things he can replicate that Tyler does. Not all of it, but there's some things that he can replicate. All right, let's do this quickly. Let's get to the picks, and then Greg and I got a prize picks for you, and make sure when you do that, use the code 5. Greg, tonight.
Heat by 7.
Jonathan.
Heat by 10.
Ricky?
Heat by 4.
Wow, you guys are all feeling comfortable now. Now, Washington is coming in on the second night of a back-to-back, and they were traveling.
Trap then.
And no, Miami was home. This does worry me as a trap game quite a bit. I don't feel great about it. I'm with everybody else thinks Washington's come back to the pack. I'm going to pick the Heat by 5 tonight, but it would not stun me if it went the other direction. I don't know. I have a sort of a bad feeling about it. I also think the thing about Kyle and Jimmy and Bam really haven't played together a hell of a lot lately, and it may take a minute. I don't know. I'm curious about what their start's going to look like. And a lot of times when they've had bad starts, they can rely on Tyler to come in and kind of give them that jump start, particularly at home. They don't have that tonight. So it worries me a little bit. Let's get to prize picks. I will tell you exactly what. Use the code 5 when you're doing this. We're going to start doing regular prize pick shows, but Greg and I will just blend it in here. Jimmy is at 20.5 points tonight. I went
over.
Yeah, to me, he's coming off a 30, 31. And there's no Tyler tonight. Like, I saw that number. I thought that number was going to be 23.5, 24.5. They need his scoring.
That's why I'm also chasing Duncan Robinson at 11 points. I know that maybe some people may flinch because Duncan's had on and off nights, but without Tyler, I feel like it's a perfect opportunity for him to get enough volume up to get over that number. And then the other one that was easy money, Kyle Lowry over 5.5 assists. This is a Heat-centric prize picks segment. But I feel like,
I'll tell you, what is PJ at points wise? Because we told you all to go over PJ 5.5 last night, and it hit early. Like hit the 3.
I'll get it to you.
By the way, if you want to pair it, you can pair it with an NFL player. I played Kyle Pitts tonight against the Patriots at 52.5 yards. I feel
PJ's
like
not on the board.
They took him off the board because we broke it, basically, because we kept playing PJ over, and it worked. All right, thanks to Ricky, thanks to Greg, thanks to Jonathan for filling his producer. We'll get Timmy on at some point. He's in the Bahamas. But I'm guessing the weather is better there than it is around the arena. Alex just texted me he's not making it to the game because his car is not a boat. So Brady will be at the game tonight. Alex will be with us post-game. Thanks to our sponsors, Biscayne Bay Brewing, Prize Picks, and MarkBrownPA.com. Have a good night.
Obviously, the end of the first half, it was sort of a situation maybe you're familiar with. Deadman was in foul trouble. It sort of just finished it out for us, UD. Were you surprised when you got the call like that in the third quarter? And what was it like to really impact a moment in a game like that the way you did?
I mean, at this stage, I'm not surprised, understanding with Bam being out tonight and understanding Valanciunas is a pretty physical big. So it's a possibility that our guys could get in foul trouble. I approach the night's game the way I approach every game. But being at home, I get a little more leeway, go upstairs, play one-on-one with Jimmy, get a little more loose. But I just try to pre-stay ready so you don't have to get ready to these guys. And obviously, when I get opportunity to go out there and play, I can't just talk about it. I got to be about it. So, for me, I try to preach to my guys that I am who I really say I am. And I want those guys to be who they say they are every night we step on the floor.
How much of those one-on-one games and three-on-three games upstairs kind of helped to prepare you for this run, of playing here like 4 or 5 games in the last?
I mean, for me, not having no training camp, missing that time, it's different. I'm used to having that time to get myself in shape and get my legs and get myself going. But, just a different process, man. But I'm fortunate to have the opportunities to get in there. I'm fortunate. I'm thankful that Spo trusts me. I'm thankful that my teammates trust me. And, I'm thankful that I was able to go out there and contribute to a win tonight. That's what it's all about.
We see you on the internet not standing for any disrespect from people on social media. How much does a game like this feel good to just remind people of what you're capable of?
I mean, for me, it's it's good to go out there and be able to play the game of basketball. I think everybody's so critical. Every time I make a mistake, it's his age. Anybody can trip. A 5-year-old can trip. A 6-year-old can trip. But if a 40-year-old trips, he's old. So, for me, it's funny. But at the same time, I tell people all the time, as long as I stay healthy, I can still play this game. My body is key right now, but my mind still moves at a rapid pace. I'm ahead of the plays. I can get to charges. I can get to recovery. I can switch pick and rolls and stay in front of the ball. For me, it's just about health at this stage of the game.
Eric said that in the offseason that they kind of looked at everything, and one of the things that they thought was that they should be using you in situational minutes this year, particularly with a veteran team. Did you know that change was coming? And looking back at it, I know the thing with Dwight and everything at the end of the year was fun, but the wait for that the whole year, what was that like for you last year to get that opportunity?
I think it was mentioned to me by Coach Riley, this summer, when we had conversations about, my future and, what it would be like. It was mentioned that, be ready this year, that, you could be called upon, more so than years in the past, which was weird because I'm always ready, but this year was the year that I wasn't ready due to the circumstances that I had to deal with. So it's like all these years I've been ready, the year I'm not ready, I'm called upon. So you don't focus on the things you can't control. You just focus on the opportunities that you have and seizing the moments. And that's all I've been trying to do is get my one-on-ones with Jimmy, get myself in shape, take my baby steps, and when my moments come, be ready.
Yeah, you do with PJ Tucker. What are the things that he's doing on the court that contribute to winning that not everybody else sees?
I love PJ, man. I play with PJ 7 days a week and twice on Sundays. What does he don't? What doesn't he do? He might lead us in offensive rebounds. I mean, he comes flying in, giving us extra possessions. He's taking charges. He switches pick and rolls. He accepts every matchup. He never complains about plays. He only complains about bad defense. That's the kind of teammate I want.
Spo also said that you provide an emotional ignitability, like an emotional lift. Do you sense that when you enter a game, like from the guys around you, as far as that emotional stuff?
Yeah, but for me, I want the emotional lift to come from my actions. What I do on the basketball court, and I don't want it to come from the crowd cheering just because I checked in. I can check in and be at -50. The crowd's still gonna cheer. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to contribute to wins. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want the, I don't, want, just the burst to be just because UD checked in. UD still has a job, and when I step on the basketball court, my job is to help us win games and contribute.
All right, UD, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Settle down and sort of get things back in order. Allow Bam and Kyle to get their night off and still make it a productive night for the entire team.
All in all, we got the win. We got the dub. We didn't start off the way that we wanted to start off. I thought that this was going to be handed to us. But we corrected it and played the way we were supposed to play in the end.
Jimmy, what are those one-on-one games like with UD? And he pointed to that as kind of one of the reasons he's been able to stay ready.
Yeah.
What was it like to see him contribute there in the third quarter?
And I know his game. We play together all the time when we be upstairs. Don't nobody see it. He makes everybody better. Seriously, he's up there contesting shots, playing some hard-nosed defense on myself, on Bam, sometimes on whoever else. And it's keeping everybody ready, making sure that everybody's in a rhythm, everybody's in shape, and everybody's comfortable out there on the floor. I'm grateful for it.
Jimmy, we know Kyle makes it easier for you sometimes to focus on scoring, but just in general this season, are you more focused at all on not letting other teams off the hook for having smaller guys on the floor, basically?
I don't think it's so much having smaller guys on the floor. I'm not scared of any matchup, but I think that guys, including myself, when I get the ball in the mid post and I get to back somebody down or get into the paint, it's really good offense for us. I try not to jack up too many shots, and I try to get everybody else involved. But when Kyle's out there, I get to do that at an extremely high rate and high level. I guess he just, I come back and he doesn't want to play with me. He's that type of guy.
Jimmy, can you tell us what you were seeing on the Tyler Hero heave? Looked like a pass to you, but went in?
That's why Tyler is a shooting guard, because that was a terrible pass. And it just so happens that the kid's a bucket getter. So the basketball gods, that's for you, PJ. That was with him on that one. I think the kid, Wonder Boy, T-Hero, whatever you want to call him, he started off slow, but then he really started to let his defense lead to his offense, and then before you know it, he was back to being who he is.
Jimmy, as someone who's a leader of this team and has wanted that role since you came in, what have you learned about leadership from Haslam?
Oh man, that through the good and through the bad, you gotta keep that same energy. And more than anything, you just gotta be ready. You never know when your name's gonna be called. But I really respect the fact that he gets in there, he takes a charge, he gets a bucket, he gets a block, he's rebounding. He's doing everything that everybody doesn't want to do, and that just goes to his character and why he's been playing in this league for so long. Not a way. No way.
All right, Jimmy, thank you.
All right.
So what changed between the first half and the second half?
I think we just, slowed it down, played to our strengths, was able to, get stops on the defensive end and turn it into offense. We tried to get out and transition a little bit more in the second half. We just started slow, and we can't afford that.
What about you? What changed for you? I mean, you were that 0-for-6 start. He got 2 points in the first half and then took off from there.
Just slow start for me. Mentally I wasn't locked in, so I got to be better at the start of games for sure. And I think just slowing things down, was able to make some adjustments to see how they were defending me, and just played to my strengths.
Now, when you threw the alley-oop to Jimmy, was there a certain point where you said, like, I don't know if you say, oh, no, that's going in, or, oh, that's going in, but was there a certain point when you threw that where you thought either you might get rim and it'd be really bad, or you might get 3?
Nah, yeah, when I threw it, I thought it was a good pass at first, and then I realized, like, oh, yeah, that was too strong. And then, I thought it was just going to hit off the rim and go fly all over the place, but it fell in for me.
Tyler, Spo has not been able to say any more nice things about PJ Tucker's screens.
Yeah.
What separates his screens from a normal NBA screen?
I mean, he just knows what he's doing. It's the screen itself, but it's also like the timing and things like that of the screens. When someone's driving and he's standing in the short corner and he comes up and sets a back screen on me or Duncan or Max, and we get to the corner for an open 3, like, not many guys have the IQ to know, the timing, and obviously the way he's built, he's able to really set hard screens. So, he's very important to our offense.
Tyler, going back to that half court shot, lob, whatever it was, did you realize that it had gone in immediately? Because you looked a little bit surprised at first.
I mean, I was surprised it went in. Like, I obviously wasn't trying for it to go in. I just threw it up as a pass. Jimmy had a layup, and it went in. I don't know. It was crazy.
What's it like to play with someone, I guess, almost twice your age, and see what a guy like Udonis Haslem still could contribute at 41 years old?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. But UD, ever since I've got here, UD's always been able to run up and down and impact, the game. Even whether it's in practice or whatever it is, OG's out there continuing to just make people better, whether it's on the court or if he's not playing.
Kyle didn't play tonight, but when he went to the bench in that first quarter, it looked like he was in your ear giving you some advice. What does that mean to you to have a guy like that there on the bench and help you through, those first quarter struggles, and just overall, what has he meant to you since he
Yeah, I mean, it's huge for me, because the way teams are starting to defend me is obviously different than they used to with the pressure and blitzes and things like that. So I'm still learning. I got a lot to learn, and to have a guy like Kyle and really all the vets on the team, but to have a guy like Kyle right next to me, to be able to have I start slow and he's able to come over and tell me what to look for, and that's why I was able to play a little bit better in the second half.
Tyler, UD is basically twice your age. Can you envision yourself playing at 41 years old?
I don't even think I want to play until 41. Like, that's a lot. I mean, he's still out there every single day, just competing and making us better. He's the lifeblood of this team, even though he doesn't play. He's a guy that's going to continue to come in every single day, and you would think it's his first year the way he's communicating and helping guys get through certain things. So OG's the best.
You starting for Jimmy when he was out. You start in Kyle's place tonight. I know you guys have a lot of different people with playmaking responsibilities, but does anything change for you with your starting the 2 or at the 1?
Not really. Just play my game. That's what they want me to do. Get guys shots. When I'm in my playmaking mode, and be able to create for myself when I'm looking to score. So, I can do either or.
All right, Tyler, that's it. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Baseball, Jimmy misses 3 games, comes back, plays 37 minutes, gets a triple-double. How much did he kind of settle you guys, especially there in the second quarter when things weren't going well for you?
Yeah, we obviously were not defending in the first quarter, the way we were capable of, and that's not taking anything away from them. They came out sharp and they scrambled us and knocked down a bunch of threes at the beginning. That kind of sped us up offensively. And so we weren't getting to coherent triggers or actions. And then in the second quarter, we just simplified it. The ball was just hitting Jimmy's mitts, and then we were playing off of him. And a lot of them were just either at the elbow or in the post or on a dribble out. And it just kind of settled us. That's what great players do. And then we defended better, much better in the second quarter, and then obviously in the second half.
Couple of questions on a couple of guys. You always talk about ignitable players, and eventually they ignite. So when Tyler started the way he started, did you figure it was only a matter of time till he was going to warm up and then throw one in from half court?
Yeah, we were just really off in that first quarter. Like I said, because we weren't defending, everything just kind of sped up. The ball was not going where it needed to go, and so everybody was out of rhythm. Tyler, I think just, let the game come to him a little bit more. Guys were finding him. Got a couple easy ones, and then just got into a great flow from there. We didn't have much of that, in that first quarter. But, he's ignitable. We have a lot of guys that are ignitable. And then, UD gives you that emotional ignitability. And that's tangible. But you can't put an analytic to it. But he gave us a great emotional spark, made some plays. Of course, he's going to take a hit, but the block and then, running the floor, all of that, you could just feel it lift up, our team, which was great to see. I've seen that so many times, that emotional lift, but that's an ignitability as well.
How much was that challenge emotional on your part that it's UD, so you use your...
Yeah, all the above. Like, probably with UD, I don't like burning those, early in the game. That was in the second half. But, if he takes a hit like that in the first half, just out of respect, even if I lose one, I'm probably going to do it. I have that much respect for him. But I also saw it, he was there early, put himself in front. He took it right on the numbers. I don't think the players would have let me in the locker room if I didn't challenge that one.
Eric, last year you didn't use Udonis until the very end in those famous couple of minutes. What's been the difference this year? Is there anything about him? I mean, is he in better shape? Is it just rotationally? Was there a decision made that he was going to play more this year, perhaps? Or
that's one of the things that we looked at. Last year during the summer, I mean, we spent a lot of time. It felt like we had a super long off season, but in those situational minutes, out of reflection, it was like, I don't trust anybody more than UD. Why not? Like in the first half, that's what that was just a situational, less than 2 minutes. Well, you can trust him. You can trust him to execute offense, to do his job defensively, and he's just going to kind of settle everything. And then the second thing is, this year this team is a little bit more of a veteran team, and I think it just fits, for those kind of spot minutes. He's he's right in his element. Those guys, they all speak the same language. And again, when you look at it, the emotional lift that he can bring, this group is pretty evident.
This is one of those things that's kind of hard to prove on paper, but does it feel at all to you like Jimmy is more ruthless this year as far as hunting mismatches and chasing those switches? And if either way, how much does your direction from the sideline have to do with him going after those matchups?
I think there are a lot of different factors there. He's just in great shape, and he's really, prepared this season like none of us were able to really prepare last year with the quick turnaround. He really had some time to rest, recover, and then, really put in the time, which he did. And then adding Kyle, which a lot of these, pitches were just happening right from the first day of training camp. And then so we just tried to 10x that, as much as possible. And then, we're just, trying to get to our strengths as much as possible. And he can get it early in the clock, or, if there's a switchable matchup, then he's just, really, really smart of being able to manipulate the defense when he gets that kind of matchup and he can get to where he wants to go. Because it's not just about scoring. He can draw fouls, but he'll make the right play. Even if he just hit 2 buckets, if there's somebody open, he'll make you pay for that.
Hey, Spo. So PJ Tucker obviously is somebody who's already known for the defensive pedigree, what he brings as an offensive and defensive rebounder. You guys have been getting this offensive production from him. Obviously, he gives you 13 points tonight on 6 of 7. That's not something he's usually known for, but he's been really hitting on those floaters. He works on them pregame.
Yeah.
How do you feel? I know you love PJ, but how do you feel about just that aspect of what he's bringing on the floor?
I love just getting to know him and being open, to where his game and how he can impact this team, where that can grow. We talk so much about his offensive versatility, but his IQ, his mind, and his experience for the game offensively also is, superior. He just does a lot of little things, intangible things. We have an unselfish group, so he's arguably our best screener, one of the best in this game. And our guys are feeding him, rewarding him for those screens. And he has a lot of versatility. He's a really underrated passer, playmaker, finisher when he gets into those spaces. And, I've said a lot, obviously, about his screening ability, but I'm really enjoying he's teaching us a lot about screening, particularly off-ball screening. He's really unique, really creative, and really smart.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.